Hey everyone, we're just going to wait a few minutes for everyone to start joining and jumping on. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Hey Victoria, good to see you. Hey everyone, we're just slowly getting more people jumping on. Hey Natalie, thanks for joining us. Hope everyone's been enjoying our early summer this week and been able to get out and enjoy the sunshine and the easing of restrictions.
Yeah, it's definitely come at like the right week.
Exactly. Just give it a couple more minutes. Hey Helen, great to see you.
Yeah, we can give it till 5 past or something, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Hey Paula, welcome.
Hi Sheila.
It's great to see you guys messaging us. Hi Anna.
Nice to see a mix of different practitioners in the audience as well.
Yeah, it's so true. Morning Lloyd.
We're definitely excited about the 12th. I hope everyone else is.
Been a very long build up and a long wait, but
yeah.
I can't believe it's actually happening now.
Yeah, let's let this be the last reopening, please.
Cross. All right, so we can probably get started now. I've got a good number of people on with us. So thank you guys for taking time out of your Thursday morning to join us. Today, our kind of the main subject we want to cover is rebooking and kind of building a loyal and repeat client base. I know this is something that's super important to kind of all therapists on Urban, no matter what services and treatments you offer. It's really crucial to kind of build those relationships with your clients as kind of ensuring that you deliver a great experience for them means that they'll continue booking with you. And I'm sure you guys are all aware that having those repeat clients makes life a lot easier. It means that you have a bit more consistency in your bookings, and it's kind of a win-win all round. So just get started and start sharing my presentation. Amazing. So the agenda for today, we're going to kind of cover initially how you increase your initial chances of getting booked, because obviously to be able to build that repeat client base, you're going to need to have those first bookings. Then how you can build rapport with your client during the treatment, especially right now with the additional hygiene measures and all of the kind of steps that you need to take in a booking. It can be quite a lot and a bit overwhelming, especially trying to cram that all in a short period of time. So ensuring you're able to maintain those kind of moments with your client where you're building that relationship and able to really kind of deliver that first class client experience. Then we'll kind of touch on how you can approach rebooking and having that conversation with your client post-treatment, as it can be kind of tricky, especially right at the end when you're thinking about packing up, thinking about aftercare advice, all of that stuff, how you can kind of in a really casual and in an inviting way encourage your client to rebook with you. Then we've got a bit of advice from the community. So a few practitioners have shared their really great advice on delivering a great client experience and how you kind of encourage clients to rebook with you. And then we'll have some time at the end to kind of have a Q&A, and you guys can share as usual in the chat any questions you have for us, especially with regards to this subject. So we'll probably address questions at the end, so feel free to add those in as we go through the presentation, because there might be things that pop up that you might want a bit more clarification on, or want to kind of ask us and pick our brains a little bit. So just add your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll look at those more towards the end. So we'll start with how to increase your initial chances of getting booked.
So yeah, I guess some of you will have seen this information before, but it's always good to, I guess, start from the basics. So obviously, in order to increase your chances of getting rebooked, you want to be able to also increase your reach to our user base in general. And the best way to do that is making sure that your profile is standing out from, well, you want everyone's profile to stand out basically on the platform. So the kind of 3 big things that you could really be doing to help really make your profile shine is obviously promoting any nice reviews that you have from your users, and also making sure that you keep updating this. So you can have 5 top reviews, but you can keep switching them out whenever you get even better ones, or you want to you have to kind of think as well about what, like maybe you want to like a variety of feedback that you're getting from users that's being highlighted on your profile as well. So they don't think that you only do one thing. You can have one about, your deep tissue, but then also one about, the ambience that you provide in your treatment, and kind of thinking about the different aspects of your experience that you give and kind of trying to highlight that in your reviews. Obviously, you can also personalize your profile. So we always try to encourage people to have a really friendly looking picture, making sure that your bio is really highlighting the experience and the treatment that you're going to deliver, as well as, your professionalism, your expertise, what kind of things have you done previously that you're going to bring to an experience. And also, when portfolios is if it's live for the treatment that you're offering. Also, so particularly for beauty, making as much use of that as possible, so that again, you're breathing a bit more life into your profile, so that users can see, a little bit more than just you, they can see your work as well. And then obviously we want you to promote your profile as much as possible. We do our own sort of ads and sort of offline marketing as well to try and drive traffic onto the platform so people book you. But you probably have your own networks, whether it's your personal network or a sort of extended client base or sort of professional network that you can access to. So you can always attract new clients through your networks as well, by sharing your direct booking link, which you can get through your app or portal. And then you can just share that on your social media, on your website. If you want to ping it over to people on WhatsApp, we've made it really easy for you to be able to do this. So you can just go through on your app into the sort of profile section, says promote your profile, click through on there, and you've got options. You can either just get the link or you can send it through to somebody on a number of different social media sites. again, another really key part of becoming more visible on the platform is making sure that you're positioned in a way that as many users are going to find you as possible. The obvious things are obviously times, areas, and what you're offering. You want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a situation where people are seeing you as much as possible. So you're covering the areas with most of our users. You're covering the areas where we have most of our users who want to book. You're doing the same with your times. You're kind of adding your availability in large chunks. You're adding your availability in busy times. And you're trying to add your availability sort of a few weeks in advance at least. 2-3 weeks if possible, because again, you're then opening yourself up to more searches so you can get that initial booking, but you're also allowing yourself to be available for the next booking if that user wants to rebook you on the spot. There's also different things that you can do around your offering, that we've recently been doing. Kind of campaigns around trying to get you to upskill and provide treatments that are most in demand for our clients. So for massage, definitely considering, deep tissue training, sports training, if you're level 4 sports or above. Also injury pain management, our newest, one of our newest treatments, has been really successful since we launched at the end of last year. And our users are still consistently struggling to find someone available, and considering everyone working from home and, having a whole new set of issues with their bodies now, I'd imagine that this is going to continue to be a busy treatment. So it's something that would definitely be worthwhile to start adding to your profile if you're able to. And then for beauty, so from 12th of April onwards, it's a similar story to when we were open at the end of last year. Definitely C&D shellac is still our number one nails treatment. And nails is obviously our sort of most mature beauty category at the moment. So, if you do have the capacity to take on, purchase a new kit, or if you want to do a bit of training, or even if you did training in the past and just want to brush up on your skills so that you can start providing this service on the platform, again, definitely worthwhile. And now that we have our totally remote assessment process, it's very easy for you to do to add these treatments onto your profile as well. And then there are also just these are kind of more like tiny things that you can change, that again is just another way to help you kind of keep your existing client base rebooking with you. So you've got the preferences section in your Hero app when you go through to your profile section. And you've got 2 options to select there. One, which allows your existing client base to rebook you, even if you're not in their service area anymore. And then you've got the other option, which is basically opening up your IM so that if your existing client base tries to go onto the app and tries to book you, but you haven't added your hours in yet, or maybe you're not available on the day that they're looking, or maybe you're booked out and they can't find you, they can then initiate a chat with you. So they can basically say hey, Yasmin, tried to find you on the app, wasn't able to find you available. Would you be free for a booking at some point over the next 3 days? I'd really like to have a treatment with you. And then you can always just message back and add the availability in so that they can book you. And then kind of more this should just be on so that you don't have to worry about it, but making sure that you have your location settings turned on all the time. That way you're opening up yourself to the most optimized travel time. So our app's actually calculating how the proper time it will take for you to get there instead of rounding it up to 2 hours, so that you're able to basically get more bookings within a shorter space of time. And then just a really quick, just a little quick piece on sort of when you should receive, when you should expect to receive bookings. So we've spoken a lot about making sure that you're as visible as possible, but we know that it can be quite, nerve-wracking waiting around for a booking, not knowing if you should take your availability out, or it's now 10 a.m. and I've got availability all day, I haven't got anything yet, should I be freaking out? Or maybe I've put in my availability for reopening already and I've had a few pre-bookings, but I thought I'd be totally booked out by now. What's going on? So in terms of, I've got 2 sort of visualizations here. One is just in general, so over the last 6 weeks. So this will be kind of mostly essential services, as that's the only thing that we're offering. But it'll just give you an indicator of what our clients' booking patterns are like at the moment. So this is just kind of general good practice. And then the other side is reopening. So we'll talk about that in one sec. But yeah, basically, this ring basically shows you a breakdown of how far in advance our users tend to book. So on the left-hand side, with the last 6 weeks, about 60% of our bookings are made either like on the day of the booking or one day ahead. So removing your availability like the night before because you realize you didn't get any bookings, or removing your availability, you know, on the same day because you don't think you're going to get any bookings, is actually putting you in a situation where you could be losing out on about half of the bookings that you probably would have had for that week. So yeah, definitely worth, I know it's easier for us to say, but it's definitely worth just trusting a little bit and leaving your availability in, because a lot of bookings come, as you can see, 60% of the bookings come within 24 hours. And a big chunk, about a third of those bookings actually come about 2 hours before the booking starts. So definitely worth keeping this in mind when, you know, when you're kind of a bit anxious about removing your availability. It's definitely worth keeping it in closer to until like the very last minute, so you can get some last minute treatments. And then looking at reopening week. So as you can see, the sort of colors around this donut have shifted a bit. So what we've seen for reopening last year, when we opened in July after another long lockdown, is we obviously had a big shift towards more people pre-booking. And because people were all pre-booked, there was less bookings on the same day because people were already booked out. But even the bookings that we had, so you can see the kind of gray section is 2 days ahead, green section is 3 days ahead, red section is 4 days ahead, and then the light yellow is 5 days ahead or more. So yeah, even if about half of our bookings came 3 days before we reopened, and sort of half of those were at least 5 days or more ahead. When we say 5 days or more ahead, most of those bookings kind of came at the sort of 5 day point. So as we approach reopening, so the 12th, we're expecting that from the 7th is when pre-bookings are really going to start to pick up. So we're still about 1 week ahead of where most of the pre-bookings are going to start flooding through. So if you've already added a lot of availability in for reopening week and you're getting worried, like, why am I not getting pre-bookings? Don't worry about it. Keep your availability in there, and you can expect that sort of this time next week, things should really start ramping up and you should start getting some pre-bookings coming in for the following week when we reopen.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Camilla. I think this is stuff that we do kind of talk about quite regularly, but we want to share as much data with you guys so you guys can really see what demand looks like and be able to use that information to empower yourselves to understand how to get more booked more frequently, when to kind of how to manage your availability, and how to kind of really like take control and ownership of the way you work and where and when you work. So I hope that information was helpful for you guys. So now we'll kind of move on to more of the kind of things you do within a booking once you've already been received the booking from a client. Once you're at the booking, the things you can do to really build rapport and deliver a great experience for your clients. So obviously, as we all kind of know, we're kind of in a new normal now where PPE is a big thing, where you have to do all of these additional steps, even when just trying to commute from place to place, let alone trying to deliver a treatment in a client's home safely. So it's really important to keep these things at the forefront of your mind, especially with communication. I think that's really key. We know that you guys are super trained and really kind of clued up on hygiene practices and how to keep yourselves and your clients safe. But something that might slip through the cracks is communication. So potentially taking time before a treatment to reach out to your client, do a kind of pre-screening via IM where you're checking whether they still have no symptoms, are kind of well aware of the client hygiene steps that they'll need to complete before a booking. So washing their hands, showering if it's a massage or a fitness session, and whether they're exempt for wearing a face mask or not. So another thing that you can do is preparing your kit and considering any kind of additional add-ons that you can take with you to your booking to make the treatment extra pampering for clients. So things that we've heard in the past from clients they love are essential oils, ambient music, LED lights. So anything you can do to make it really feel luxurious and super pampering, even if they are in their own home and kind of having a booking in between meetings or whatever. These little things can really make a huge difference in the experience of the client. So of course, once you arrive, ensuring you have your mask on ready before you knock on your client's door, avoiding as much contact as possible with their door, their property as well, removing any jewelry and taking your shoes off. This is something that's really key because it really shows a level of professionalism and care for the client's property. Setting up and disinfecting all of your equipment, and obviously washing your hands thoroughly. So these are kind of things that you guys are already doing, especially for those of you who have been offering essential treatments over the past few months, but you can never remind yourselves too much of the steps. So once you're kind of at the booking, you've entered the client's property, the kind of key hygiene steps to remember are reconfirming that the client hasn't been exposed to the virus or has any symptoms within the consultation, and also checking on the people who they live with as well, because that's obviously just as important as whether they themselves have any symptoms. Communicating, again, communication is probably the key word of today. So communicating the steps that you're taking, because while for you might be doing this multiple times a week, you're well aware of the kind of different steps that you're taking. Your client, this might be their first at-home treatment that they've had. They might have not had a massage since the pandemic started. So really like letting them know all the different things you'll be doing. It also kind of makes it less awkward. So you're not just kind of entering someone's property and just starting to kind of do the steps and not really engaging with them. So letting them know that first you're going to disinfect, then you're going to wash your hands, and checking whether they've done the same can kind of break the ice and make things a bit more comfortable. And if you're going to be doing a facial or touching the client's face, always making sure that you're using gloves and asking for consent. That's really key, asking the client whether they feel comfortable with that, because as things are different now with coronavirus, it's really important to kind of check in multiple times to make sure the client is still comfortable with the treatment going ahead. So once the treatment starts, again, even though you've had to do all of these kind of additional hygiene steps, really remembering to ask the client whether they have any areas they want you to focus on. This is particularly key for kind of physical wellbeing therapists, so massage, physio and osteo. But again, even with different kind of beauty treatments, asking your client whether they've booked on Urban before, whether they've had that specific treatment before, and really understanding what their expectations are. It can be really helpful for you to tailor the treatment and the booking towards their wants and needs. And another one that's really key to remember is checking in with your client multiple times throughout the treatment and checking that they're still happy with how the treatment's going ahead, whether there's anything they want you to do differently, and keeping that kind of line of communication so that if something arises in the middle of the booking or the middle of the treatment, they feel comfortable letting you know and kind of guiding you with what they want to see. So once you're done with the treatment, the client's had a wonderful time. Again, still super key to remember to do those hygiene steps at the end, letting your client know hygiene aftercare that they can then take, especially with massage, if you're using towels, any of that sort, reminding them to wash them at 6 degrees and washing their hands as well. And kind of popping all your disposables and asking the client to dispose of them at their property, because that's kind of the most hygienic and safest way of disposing of any consumables. And again, you might be quite rushed for time, but little things like giving some aftercare recommendations can really make a huge difference to the client. Letting them know whether they need to have a follow-up treatment if it's relevant, or kind of giving them advice for caring for themselves can really help build that relationship and make the client feel understood and really help you develop that rapport that really leads to those rebookings in the more long term. Another really key one is if your client has treatment reports enabled. So this is only kind of relevant for specific treatments. Making sure to fill this in within 48 hours. So treatment reports are a really key one because it allows the client to kind of look back after their treatment, understand what areas were worked on, it kind of figure out whether they need a kind of follow-up treatment, and to really understand the improvements to their condition, whether they should be rebooking. All of those things are really key. So using that treatment reports feature is really, really essential. And then a few other things to kind of keep at the forefront of your mind. Again, letting your clients know what hygiene measures you'll be taking. And this goes even without, not just for hygiene measures, in terms of if you're doing a treatment, running them through exactly what you're going to be doing throughout the treatment is really great, because it ensures that the client knows what to expect and there aren't any kind of surprises throughout the session. If the client has treatment reports, again, making sure you fill these in. We found that clients are 27% more likely to rebook if you do. That's a pretty big number. So that's almost a third of people. So yeah, utilizing the kind of built-in features that we have that can help kind of build rapport with clients. And if the client doesn't have treatment reports enabled, because we, for GDPR reasons and data protection, we need them to opt into these. Some clients aren't. I think around just over 50% of clients are opted in. Sharing any follow-up advice or aftercare with the client, either at the end of the session kind of verbally, or if you don't quite have enough time and you're rushing in between bookings, using the IM feature to share that advice once the treatment is finished. So now we'll kind of have a little bit of a look at how to approach the rebooking conversation. I know this is something that's quite tricky. You don't want to feel super salesy at the end of a treatment. You want the client to feel comfortable and to kind of come to that decision by themselves. But there are a few kind of tips and tricks that can help make the conversation easier for you and comfortable for the client too. So again, we know that rebooking is a great way of increasing your overall bookings, but it's key for building a regular client base. Once a client kind of has booked with you a couple of times, the chances are when they go on their app, they'll be looking for you. So things you can do at the end of the treatment to approach this conversation is setting your clients' expectations around the number of treatments required for their condition. Obviously, this is more relevant to kind of physical well-being treatments, so massage, osteo, and physio. But even beauty treatments, you can let them know how frequently they should, if it's for lashes, how frequently they should get some infills. Same with nails, how to kind of care for their nails, how if they want to have a repeat, how to kind of have the treatment again, how much time they should wait in between treatments, things like that. So yeah, highlighting the benefits of having that specific treatment on a regular basis, that's kind of really key. So it's taking the emphasis off you and more on the client and how having that treatment would add value to them. I think that's a really, really key thing. And then another thing that you can mention is how rebooking with you straight after the treatment is probably the easiest way of doing it. Number one, because you're already there and you can kind of discuss availability or time that works for both you and the client. And it's also easier to do through the Hero app. It's a way of kind of wrapping it up within the session. So you can do this within your app if the client decides that they want to have a rebook with you in the moment. And another thing to kind of bear in mind is being flexible with your availability to suit them, and when works to them is going to be a kind of big thing, because they'll kind of see that you are trying to cater to them and to find a time that works for them around their schedule, and that can mean that they'll kind of look out for you next time when they're looking to rebook in their app. Another thing that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, but is something that is super handy in these moments, kind of making the conversation easier, is using the Hero 10 discount. So what the Hero 10 discount is a 10% off for your client for the next treatment with you. So how we take that 10% off is that we split the discount across your fee and Urban's fee. So essentially 5% off our fee, 5% off your fee, and giving that client that discount is an extra kind of added incentive to rebook with you. One thing to bear in mind is that it would need to be done through your app immediately after that treatment finishes for it to work. And Camilla will kind of talk us through how to do it in the app a little bit more.
Cool, thanks, Yasmin. So yeah, when you go into your Hero app, say you had this conversation now with your client and they're happy to go ahead and want you to help them book this treatment. The same way that you would open up the booking to see the details or check in and check out. When you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's like a blue button between extend and cancel that says rebook. When you can just click through here and it's super easy, you then go through the booking flow and you choose, 60-minute treatment, and you choose the time and date, and then you'll have the option to apply the Hero 10 discount at checkout as well. There are a few things that we want to make sure that every time you do this, you need to check with your client. So obviously don't go ahead and start rebooking with a client just because they said they might be interested. You definitely need to get clear consent from your client to place the booking for them. I mean, I'd recommend sort of showing them your screen while you're actually doing it as well, so that they've got, they're not just sort of saying something and then all of a sudden we want to make sure there's no miscommunications, basically. In order for for you to be able to place the booking as well, your client will need to have a saved payment method on their account. So this is a question that comes through to our support teams quite a lot. People are trying to extend a booking, or people are trying to rebook a treatment. And for some reason, they're not able to through the Hero app. Most of the time, it's because the client either hasn't saved a payment method. So maybe they checked out using Apple Pay, so they don't actually have a card saved on their account. And sometimes it's actually just that the client needs to authorize the payment. So they have something set up with their payment provider that says whenever they make a payment over a certain amount, or every X payments, they need to just authorize it through an app or give their bank a call and just let them know that it's okay. So it's usually those two reasons that there'll be an error around trying to check out. So again, just before you go through this process, just checking in with your client to see if they've got a saved payment method on there, getting them to add that on beforehand so that it's easy for them as well. So then you can kind of go through this flow. You can get it all set up on your phone while they add the payment method to their account. And then you can basically apply Hero 10 at the end. It says, it's literally the exact same flow that a user usually sees. So it says, enter your discount code here, pop in Hero 10, again, communicating what that discount means to the user as well. And then that kind of goes through, and then you'll be able to meet your client again. This is obviously one way that your users can rebook with you. You can also advise to them how they can rebook via the app, like if they just decide that they want to do it later. So when you usually have this conversation, it's good to also mention that, if you can't find me available, I've got request to book turned on, so you can send me a message. I'm happy to, sometimes I'm not available on the app, but I actually am available. Especially if you're looking, more than 4 weeks ahead or something, feel free to pop me a message and I'm happy to add availability in for you. And I guess all the sort of overall message, as Yasmin mentioned earlier, the Hero 10 discount is a split discount between us and yourself. So it's totally at your discretion if you decide you want to do this. The benefit, obviously, of foregoing a tiny bit of your fee is the long-term benefit of getting more money from this client and more bookings from this client over time. So, in the future, that'll kind of pay itself off. But we understand that obviously sometimes people, some people live like week to week, some people are like planned sort of month to month. So depending on your situation, you can obviously choose to, use this Hero discount. And you can obviously decide, it doesn't have to be one decision forever. You've got it available for you, so you can use it as and when you see it's fit. And yeah, Yasmin's got some pointers on how to approach that conversation as well. So she'll take it away.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, really kind of placing the emphasis on the value that having that treatment regularly would bring to the client is super key. So it kind of using the aftercare advice as a way to segue into discussing rebooking or having the client book with you again is probably going to be the easiest way of having that conversation. So letting them know that it's the benefits of having that treatment for their condition, letting them know that it's the easiest way of rebooking. It's through your app. It's a way of ensuring that you're available and they're available, and it's at a time that suits everyone. And also, again, using that, as Camilla mentioned, using that Hero 10 discount can be the added kind of incentive that might make the customer feel more inclined and kind of more likely to want to rebook in the moment. So again, if they're keen, go ahead, go through with the rebooking via your app. But a big thing is to not be disheartened if they're not immediately keen. There could be a variety of reasons. The client might want time to think about it. They might not be sure. It can be quite kind of hard to make that immediate decision for the future in that moment, especially as you're kind of wrapping up the booking. So there's still a good chance that they'll rebook you in the future. We see that happen quite a lot. We have kind of our regular clients on Urban who have their few practitioners they tend to reach out for different treatments. So yeah, don't be disheartened. And the more times you have this conversation, the easier it becomes. So in the first time you might have this conversation, you might feel a little bit awkward and uncomfortable. But again, placing the emphasis on the value that you can add to that client and how having that treatment frequently is going to benefit them is the best kind of angle to go in with, because it's not about you, it's not about rebooking, it's about adding value to the client and you being able to really deliver that service for them. And I think that's what makes the difference in how successful that conversation is. So we'll kind of go on to, so we've had some great advice submitted from a few heroes. And I think obviously me and Camilla can give you guys some general advice and some things that we've seen during our time at Urban and speaking with you guys, but there's nothing better than hearing advice from people who are out there day to day doing it and doing it well. So we'll kind of take you guys through some of the advice that we've received. So we've asked a few of you guys what advice you'd have on how to deliver a great client experience. So Teo says, listen well and don't interrupt the client when discussing their issues. Be clear with what you will do and maintain contact most of the time. And knowing your anatomy is key, especially if you're again, a physical well-being practitioner. Trying to address the client's needs as much as possible. So yeah, that's really, really key, trying to tailor the experience to the client and remembering that each client is different. And even if you've seen that client before and they're a repeat customer, remembering that their needs this week might be different to their needs 6 months ago. So yeah, checking in with them, asking them whether there's anything new they want addressed or any kind of new areas they want you to focus on. And for them to see that you are tailoring the experience to them and really kind of checking in on them is going to be kind of key. And then Matthew says, don't force it, just show what you can do. Deliver your best treatment every time and be consistent. People will always remember how you make them feel. So yeah, going off of what I've just said, remembering that even though you might have seen that client before, that every time is different and every client is different, and just showing up and being consistent can be the kind of the big thing that really takes your treatments to the next level.
Jacek also gave us quite thorough advice as well, which is really nice. He said that he gives 100% of his attention to the client and creates a relaxed atmosphere. Doesn't really try to ask them to book him again specifically, but he does also let them know, like he basically gets his work and his results to try and speak for themselves. He said he's obsessed about always being on time, so being punctual and listening to his clients and trying to deliver what they ask him to do. And he also likes to explain what he does and why. And he always tries to maintain a light and humorous atmosphere throughout the treatment. So it's quite similar to sort of the main themes that Yasmin's been highlighting today in terms of, communication, and also with, listening to your client, tailoring that treatment to the client, and really trying to help them remember how you made them feel. So afterwards they're glowing, they're thinking about you, and they're going to try and book you again.
And kind of last bit of advice is from Zaina, and again, really thorough and great advice. So always greeting clients with a genuine smile, being confident, and having an air of positive energy and professionalism. So communication, again, is coming up. Communicating with my clients to determine what they want, and that's key for a successful treatment and an all-around great experience. Another bit of advice that she's given, which is really, really important, which is making sure you always do a consultation, whether you've seen that client before or it's a first-time client. Having that consultation every time is super important, not just for kind of insurance and protection reasons, but also for making sure that the treatment really is catered towards that client. giving them your undivided attention. It's very important to listen to your clients' needs and spend a couple minutes with your clients afterwards for aftercare advice and discussing any follow-ups or recommendations, treatment plans, products they can use, etc., depending on the treatments that they booked with you. And then advising the clients to do regular massage sessions and to book often to ensure that they're able to kind of maintain good health and kind of see the long-term benefits of massage specifically, but this can apply to other treatments as well. Awesome. So kind of reached the end of our presentation. So what we'll do now is have a look at the chat and see if you guys have asked us any questions or made any comments.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions actually. Okay, so starting with Anna. So Anna has a question about clients being unable to see when a therapist is available. So basically when a user is trying to rebook and sometimes they're not able to see availability. And she usually advises them to request availability when it happens, but sometimes they end up just booking with someone else. I know it was reported before, but is it being dealt with? So I guess with the request to book function, it's obviously great to help your existing clients be more likely to book with you, because if they really wanted to book with you, they can then communicate with you. If you get back to them and are able to, have that dialogue with them around, okay, now I'm going to add my hours. Okay, they're in. Okay, thanks, I've booked you. If that can happen quite easily, then it definitely increases your chances of getting rebooked by them. At the end of the day, like our users are time poor, busy professionals who they want to have their treatment at the time they want their treatment, and they don't want to be waiting around to try and make that treatment. So yeah, sometimes there's going to be, occasions where maybe they try to contact you and they don't hear back because, you're doing other treatments, and so they decide to book someone else, or maybe they don't even try to initiate that conversation and they end up booking with somebody else as well. I guess at the end of the day, it is when the user comes onto the app, we're doing everything we can to try and get them to stick with you as well. But, they have their own needs, and especially if the reason why they're booking a treatment is, because of pain or, whether it's physical or emotional or anything, we can't then sort of penalize clients for then deciding to go a different route. So yeah, I think it's definitely good to have it because it really helps. But sometimes you're just going to have to manage your own expectations and understand that, some clients will use it, some clients might use it, end up booking somebody else. And sometimes people might just, book a couple people over and over again, just depending on their schedules and their needs as well. Andrea's asking if she can book a call with one of us after this. Yes, well, you can't book it with specifically us, but we do have a ability for you to book a call with the team, and you can access this through the resources section of your Hero portal. You just go through the resources, scroll down to the bottom. We've got a calendar. Every Tuesday afternoon, you're able to book a call with one of the team to help you if it's related to sort of helping you increasing your chances of getting booked, particularly gearing up for reopening. If you just want to touch base and make sure everything's up to scratch for reopening, then yeah, definitely book one in with us. And if you want, I can just pop the link into this chat as well, so you can access that now as well. Natalie's asking, treatment reports are not always available, and she's noticing this with her first-time users. So she does generally ask the client. Do you want to take that one, Yasmin? It's kind of
that's great. Yeah, I think that's great advice, and yeah, I think letting your clients know that this is a great way for them to kind of keep track of what you addressed during the treatment, and if they have any follow-ups, whether it be with you or with someone else, having all of that stuff available in their treatment report is really great for the next practitioner or for yourself in the future to be able to look back on. So yeah, just mentioning the benefits of having those treatment reports, and yeah, just bringing up the conversation with them. And in the end of the day, it's up to them, it's at their discretion to decide whether they want to opt in or not. But we do actually communicate this in our kind of customer communications. We let them know the benefits of treatment reports, and we have highlighted this to them, and we do have a good percentage of our client base that are opted in. But yeah, having that conversation and bringing it up within the context of their treatment and you delivering their treatment might help them decide to opt in. So that is great advice from Natalie in terms of how to discuss treatment reports with your clients.
Yeah, definitely. Like, especially if it's new users, they probably just don't even realize that it's an option that they need to switch on. So yeah, like kind of keeping it front of mind and making sure that you have that discussion with them. You know, you're kind of giving them, you're teaching them something. And then that's another thing, that something that's going to benefit them as well. So it kind of shows that you're looking out for them past, you know, the treatment time into their aftercare. So Andrea's asking about Hero 10. So she wants to know, is the Hero 10 code once per customer, or is it usable more than once? And Stefano, we can combine these two questions, but Stefano's also asking, can they use the Hero 10 code themselves if they rebook the next day? So yeah, the Hero 10 code can only be used, so you can only do it with your customer while you're still there. So it does need to be while you're at the treatment, but you can choose to use it as many times as you want with different clients. So that's up to you to use. But yeah, it doesn't work on the user app. So you can't give them Hero 10 and they can't go, you know, even if they want to do it an hour later, it needs to go through your app. So hopefully that answers those questions. And Cesar is asking, after checking out, I can't see the rebook option. How can I rebook if the client requests after I'm gone? It's actually quite a good question. So yeah, you can't, so once you check out, you can't access the booking information anymore. So you do need to check out, extend, all of those things need to happen before you check out of the treatment. Again, because you should be doing this with your client and you should be checking out once you've left the client's place. So it's, yeah, you can only rebook through your app while you're with them. In terms of how they can rebook if the client requests once you've left, they'll need to do it through their user app or website. So again, having requests to book on is a good thing if they all of a sudden are confused about not being able to find you. Your instant messenger, if you're offering like massage and facials, for example, should be open for an hour after the treatment is finished. So you still have a little window where you can send a quick reminder about your availability, or they can send you a quick question if needed. And obviously, if they're really struggling, they booked the treatment once before, they should be able to book another treatment. But if they are really struggling, obviously letting them know that we have the support team here who can, you know, facilitate that conversation between the two of you if there really seems to be a blockage in the not being able to use request to book, not being able to hear back. So there's, I guess, a few different levels of like us cushioning between us trying to get you to be able to get that rebooking through as well. And Natalie's asking, does Urban do a treatment alert for clients? Not fully sure what this means. Does this mean like a reminder before the treatment?
Yeah, I think that's probably what Natalie means. If we've misinterpreted your question, Natalie, feel free to
correct us, please.
Correct us, yeah.
I'll take that as yes, maybe. Yeah, so we do send a number of communications to users before the treatment starts. So basically, so obviously once they make a booking, they get a confirmation email with, you know, this is how you get ready for your treatment, you know, remember to do this, this, and this. As we approach the treatment time as well, they'll receive like your booking is coming up. And they tend to receive that. And then they also get a push like an hour before the treatment starts saying, you know, your treatment's due to begin in an hour, like make sure they can click through and go into their app with the booking information in the app. And there they can see again, like the things that they need to make sure that they have ready, whether it's towels or like a table and a space for nails, or, you know, a space for the table if they're doing, you know, a treatment with a plinth. So yeah, we have a number of ways to remind them. And then obviously, you can communicate with them as well beforehand via IM, or if you need to call them through the app. So Andrew's asking about Hero 10 again, so whether she can use the same code over and over with the same customer if they always rebook me before you go. I mean, you can if you want, but if they're already rebooking you, then you might not need to give it to them, but it's obviously up to you. But yeah, you can still give it to them. It doesn't have to be like the first time. Even if they've rebooked you in the past, you can still give it to them at the treatment that they've had with you. And Stefano's asking, if the user decides to contact me again for a rebooking, is the code still available for them? So yeah, as soon as you've checked out of that booking, you're no longer able to use the Hero 10 code anymore. And yeah, as soon as you're out of the like vicinity, like, you know, as soon as you're not next to the client anymore, you can't rebook through your app. So it does need to be done if you're going to rebook for the user on your app, you need to be with the user, as they need to authorize payment, and there might, you know, you basically can't like put bookings through for them when they're not there. Even our customer support team can't do that. They cannot place bookings for users unless they have like either written consent for them while they're speaking to them on chat or on the phone with them while they place the payment.
Yeah, and remembering that the code only works when you apply it in the Hero app. So as well as those other things, yeah, it needs to be done in your app at time with the client. And the main purpose of it is that it's supposed to be an incentive for them to book with you immediately after their treatment. So again, if the client reaches out or contacts you and asks about the code, feel free to let them know that it's only possible immediately after the treatment. And then hopefully next time that might be that kind of little bit of that added incentive that pushes them to kind of rebook with you in the moment.
Oh, so if a user, if a therapist or a practitioner leaves a treatment report for the user, and in the treatment report, the practitioner recommends that the next treatment should be in 4 weeks, does Urban then send a reminder to that user in 4 weeks' time, letting them know, you know, your treatment report said 4 weeks, it's now 4 weeks, like why not try and have a treatment? So our current treatment reports are quite simple, so they don't have any alerts or anything attached to them. We are currently looking at how they're currently set up, so it might not look this way forever. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I guess like a good suggestion for one of the things that you could do. I guess even though I guess like in some ways we don't want to be like flooding the user sometimes with too many like reminders of things. Like it's okay when they've made a treatment for us to remind them that treatment's happening. But when they don't currently have a booking, what we tend to do is try to stay front of mind by communicating with them with like a number of different styles of you know, emails, and we do send, you know, different kinds of communications to them. So hopefully by seeing those regularly, those tend to help them like remember like, ooh, maybe I should book a treatment now. And we do mix those up as well. Like sometimes, you know, we obviously send them kind of emails around, you know, these treatments are coming up. Sometimes we offer discounts. Sometimes we also just send them more sort of lifestyle, editorial, kind of educational emails around the benefits of doing different treatments or potentially trying other treatments that were similar to things that they've booked in the past. Anyone have any more questions at all? I will share the link to the calendar if you want to book a call with the team just to get your profile ready for reopening, or if you want to increase your bookings as well.
We'll just give everyone a couple minutes. There's a bit of a lag to see if anyone has any further questions. think
Yeah.
probably wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us today and taking time out of your Thursday to kind of listen to us speak. I hope everyone has a wonderful Easter bank holiday weekend, and is able to kind of spend time with loved ones and kind of get outside and enjoy the weather while it lasts. And as usual, if you have any questions, reach out, whether if it's more kind of to do with bookings and that kind of thing, app related. Customer support is kind of always there to help you guys with a live chat. Otherwise, if you have suggestions, the forum is again a great place. Not only will you interact with those posts, but you'll have other practitioners as well interacting, and they might have the answer to kind of your questions and suggestions. And good luck for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, can't wait for April 12th, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, Yasmin will send a follow-up after this as well. So I know we covered a lot of ground here and Hero 10, and you might forget, is it Hero 10 or Hero Space 10? And so don't worry, we'll follow up with this information so that you can come back to it, including all the great tips that we got from practitioners on how to rebook, as well as how to handle that conversation. So don't worry about, oh my God, I've lost this information. We'll send it to you. And yeah, have a great Easter. And if you are working over Easter, if you are working for 2 days, at least 8 hours, we'll be paying you more. So if you don't have plans, then you can make plans with us. And we're expecting sort of Friday and Monday to be super busy, especially Monday because it's going to rain.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.